On September 21, 2010, customs agents at New York's JFK International Airport pulled aside a traveler arriving from Ecuador. When they performed a body search, they discovered 10 clear plastic bags tightly wrapped around his stomach, back, and legs. He was carrying 6 kilograms of heroin. The smuggler was Byron Moreno. 8 years before this arrest, he was a FIFA international referee, holding the whistle for the single most debated match in modern football history. That match took place at the 2002 World Cup, the first ever held in Asia. The co-host nation, South Korea, was riding a massive wave of home field momentum, completely dismantling the established hierarchy of international football. Going into the tournament, the South Korean national team had played 14 World Cup matches spread across 5 different tournaments. They had not recorded a single victory. Suddenly, they were eliminating title contenders back-to-back. At the time, it was celebrated as a miraculous underdog run. But after Moreno was caught trafficking narcotics, his performance that summer took on a new, darker context. We are left to weigh an athletic miracle against the evidence of a heist. The anomalies began in the round of 16. Italy arrived with a roster of heavy favorites, but the match quickly devolved into a physical brawl. South Korean players executed high, dangerous tackles and delivered elbows to the face, but the referee, Byron Moreno, allowed the violence to proceed largely unpunished. Italian defender Francesco Totti spent a portion of the match playing through a blood-soaked head bandage. In extra time, Italy's star playmaker Francesco Totti was tripped inside the South Korean penalty box. Replay showed clear, undeniable contact from the defender. Instead of awarding Italy a penalty kick, Moreno blew his whistle and gave Totti a second yellow card for diving. He was ejected from the game. Minutes later, Italian midfielder Damiano Tomasi broke past the defense and scored a golden goal that would have won the match instantly. The officiating crew ruled him offside, nullifying the goal. Italy lost 2-1. The backlash in Italy was immediate. South Korean striker Ahn Jung-won, who scored the winning goal, played his club football in Italy for Perugia. The morning after the match, Perugia's owner publicly terminated Ahn's contract, stating he would not pay the salary of someone who ruined Italian football. Italy possessed a golden generation of talent in 2002. The concentration of match-deciding errors against them led the Italian press to treat the elimination as a targeted institutional hit. If Italy had been an isolated incident, the football world might have moved on. But days later, South Korea faced Spain in the quarterfinals. Egyptian referee Gamal Al-Ghandour took charge, and the statistical improbabilities only accelerated. Spain's free kick goal was disallowed for a shirt pull that replays failed to capture. In extra time, Spain scored again. The linesman ruled the ball crossed out of play, but footage proved it never touched the boundary line. 2 legal goals wiped out. The Spanish press erupted, echoing the Italian outrage from days prior. They printed headlines branding the officials thieves of dreams, describing the match as a coordinated robbery. One match defined by terrible officiating is an error. 2 consecutive knockout matches, defined by phantom calls eliminating global superpowers, suggests a calculated operational pattern. To understand how a pattern like this emerges, you have to look at the financial stakes. In the early 2000s, FIFA was desperate to exploit the massive, untapped Asian market. For the tournament to be a financial success, the host nation needed to remain in the tournament to drive massive global viewership and merchandise sales. At the center of this massive expansion was Dr. Chung Mong-jun. He held 2 powerful positions simultaneously. He was a vice president of FIFA and the head of the South Korean Football Association. Dr. Chung was also the CEO of his family's business, the automotive giant Hyundai. Hyundai was one of the primary corporate sponsors of the 2002 World Cup, injecting $100 million directly into FIFA's coffers. These financial ties drew heavy scrutiny, and that skepticism was largely validated 15 years later. The 2015 FIFA corruption scandal exposed widespread bribery and racketeering at the highest levels, bringing down much of the leadership from the 2002 era. Political ambition aligned perfectly with corporate interests. FIFA needed Asia, Hyundai needed exposure, and organizers needed a winner. The host nation was, in an institutional sense, too big to fail. There is, however, a credible footballing counter-argument. The South Korean team was managed by Goose Hiddink, a master tactician who subjected his players to grueling physical conditioning. They executed a relentless, high-pressing system that simply exhausted their opponents. European sides arrived expecting to cruise past an opponent with zero historical World Cup success. Instead, Italy and Spain were met by a team that refused to stop running, backed by 70,000 screaming fans in a hot, humid climate. The traditional powers failed to adjust. The refereeing errors can also be explained by FIFA's own internal policies. The organization intentionally selected officials from smaller footballing nations to diversify the referee pool. This meant assigning men with limited high-level experience to manage the most intense, high-pressure matches on the planet. Byron Moreno may have eventually become a convicted drug smuggler, but his actions on a football pitch suggest a history of sheer incompetence. Just months after the World Cup, Moreno was suspended by the Ecuadorian Federation for adding 13 minutes of stoppage time to a domestic match, and shortly after, he was suspended again for sending off 3 players from the same team. When you place an out-of-his-depth referee into the crucible of a World Cup knockout stage, the resulting chaos looks identical to coordinated corruption. The controversies of 2002 left a permanent mark on the sport. The blatant, highly publicized errors in South Korea's matches became the primary catalyst for the eventual adoption of VAR and video review. The sport could no longer afford to let human error dictate the fate of a multi-billion-dollar tournament. It also cemented the reputation of the executives in charge. FIFA president Sepp Blatter repeatedly defended the officiating as simple human error. Today, his tenure is globally recognized as an era defined by institutional rot. 2 decades later, we are left looking at 2 completely irreconcilable realities. On one hand, a team of overachievers outworked the best players in the world. On the other, a series of impossible calls systematically eliminated the opposition. The stadiums still stand, and the 2002 matches are still celebrated in South Korea as a defining moment of national pride and sporting excellence. But for the teams that were sent home, the footage remains. It forces us to wonder, was this the greatest underdog story in sports history, or the most public robbery ever televised?